It's your lack of faith in something you cannot see that causes you to have your unwarranted fears. Because it is that lack of faith you have in source that causes you to have faith in the darkness, the matrix. You're always obsessing over things, why they're not coming, because the ego wants it to happen when it wants and has to look a specific way because you're hung up on the descriptions of things and you have to control the outcome of these things. And it is this incessant fear that drives this unwarranted nervousness and tension, hyper duress, anxiety. And that is what blocks all of these things from preventing you from slipping into your river of rewards. Now, you have a stream of energy that is always patiently waiting for you to raise your vibration and slip into that stream like a river taking you to the destination of your dreams. That's source. But you're too preoccupied by all of the frivolous nonsense here. You're always lowering your own vibration and you're getting stuck in that low dimensional mentality, which causes you to trigger these projections that you observe in the form of these experiences that present themselves to you over and over again. And you're always obsessing. Obsession is a tether. You're always obsessing why my manifestations aren't happening. Well, because they're not going to happen because you're not a proper vibrational alignment and an equivalent for that to take place. Because you are out of that stream of rewards, that river of rewards. And this is something I've gone through many times too, and I find myself doing it from time to time. So I'm right in there with you. And this is what I've learned. That's why I'm sharing it. That, you expect these things to happen in a certain way because the matrix conditions you to say that seeing is believing. So that's why when you don't see it, you don't believe it. So therefore, you don't really truly empower this manifestation process. You really kind of like just, pretending to, but not really, you're not really feeling it. You're just like, all right, that's something I will go with for the minute. It's like something you're just adopting for the moment. But inevitably, it's going to be filtered out because you're going to always find yourself back at that same identity again that the system implanted in you, which is doubt, uncertainty, a jaded, bitter, cynical mentality, a self-defeatist mentality, a negative default setting of self-destructive behaviors where you immediately begin instantaneously envisioning worst-case scenario situations. You're programmed to destroy yourself. So you're always out of that river of rewards. And because it's your lack of faith in things you can't see that causes you to have this unwarranted fear. And it's the fear that blocks. And it also is fortified by worry and feelings and emotions that, that support this fear. And they will continue to do so because the darkness always preys on your feelings and emotions for a reason. Because your feelings and emotions are what validate these things to be real and they confirm them to be reality. That's the power of your feelings and emotions. So, in that sense, you're actually just, you're hurting yourself terribly by doing this. And again, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not exempt from this or anything else that I've spoken of in any of the videos that I do. I'm sharing my sacred messages, my divine transmissions, my life experiences, what I know to be the truth, a lot of factual information that I share that I encourage you to research and find out for yourself. If you don't believe me, that's the whole point of this channel. But yeah, it's your lack of faith in the things you can't see that cause you to have this unwarranted fear that's just unnecessary. It's an impediment. It's your greatest hindrance, because you don't really truly have faith in the unknown, the unseen, something that is imperceivable, intangible. You know what I mean? That's really where the root cause of your fear lies because the universe is trying to guide you to something amazing. But the issue is that you're still stuck in a vibrational environment that supports the old you. And all of the elements in there are the old bad friends, the old addictions, obsessions, habits, compulsive, obsessive behaviors of a self-destructive nature. You see where I'm going with this? You refuse to leave that old neighborhood where all of the criminals and the thugs and the hoodlums and all the people that got you in trouble and, you did it to yourself are still hanging out and you're still gravitating to these kinds of characters. It could be like an addiction to anything that you're refusing to let go of. You have to shed all of these old facets because they can't come with you. I always use a snake as an example. A snake sheds its skin for a reason. It has to expand and grow or else it's going to be compressed and just die inside that shell because it's getting larger and larger. It has to grow and expand and move. And what you're doing is you're simply refusing to allow that expansion process to take place by fighting change, by being afraid of it with fear. You see how all of this feeds into itself? How it's all cyclical and it's all patterned and, like I say, the cookie cutter. If you have a cookie cutter in the shape of a Christmas tree and you keep pressing it into the dough, don't expect to get circles and triangles and unicorns and all that. It's not going to happen. If you keep following patterns, you're always going to have the same outcome. If you create new designs by being different, that's when things change for you, by not being afraid anymore, by having faith in the universe, by trusting the process. You know, it's funny, I've said it before, but if you really analyze what I'm saying, it's very true. You unconsciously have more faith placed in an absolute stranger when you're in a 2-lane highway or a 2-lane road. You have more faith that you place in all of those people in the cars on the left side of you coming at you head on, and the only thing that's separating you from them is a painted line down the road. You have more faith in strangers driving head on to you that can kill you at any second, not hitting you and causing great damage, than you do in God. Think about it for a minute. I'll say this again very slowly. You have more faith in a stranger that's driving head on to you, that they won't hit you, than you do have faith in Source or yourself. Now, don't you think there's something inherently wrong about that? Think about it for a second, because that is where your unwarranted fears are being born from. That is the nucleus of it. You just programmed to fear change. That's why they say change is, if you listen to how they word it, change is scary, change is unknown, change is unfamiliar. They're conditioning you to subliminally say, stay in your comfort zone, obedient slave. This way we can control you in there. You know, this way we can, manipulate you and exploit you and govern your actions and dominate your reality and subjugate your mind and imprison your imagination and incarcerate your individuality. Because you've known that system so long, your mind is like, oh, hell no, I am not going. It's going to fight. It's going to kick and scream, tooth and nail, punch you if it has to, bite and scratch to stay in that freaking prison. That is the root cause of why you're suffering from these things. That's where your conflict arises from. You have these two diametrically opposed energies contained within the same circumference of eternal life, hence the human condition, the human ethos, a living contradiction unto itself, a hypocritical, dysfunctional contradiction. That is human. That's humanity. And what happens is you don't place faith in something you can't see because you've been trained to believe that seeing is believing. Let me say that again. Seeing is believing. So if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. But again, I throw back to, what about the wind? What about sound? What about thoughts? You know what I mean? Can you see them? How do you know they exist? Because you can sense them. That's the universe's way of giving you a little heads up, saying, listen, I'm allowing you to sense them so there won't be any doubt and you can empower these things. Right? When you fall asleep and you're unconscious, you still continue to breathe and you still continue to beat your heart, but you're not doing it. God is. Think about it. When you fall asleep, you're passed out. You don't have any control over your faculties. You're unconscious, but you're still breathing and your heart is still beating and the body is still doing all of the processes it does in order to keep you alive in the physical. Or am I wrong? You see, that's the same source that's doing that for you for free, that's offering you a greater opportunity that you're too afraid to take because you don't see it, so therefore it doesn't exist, because you don't give faith in things you can't see, which is the reason why you have your unwarranted fears and your worries and your panic and your stress and all of those other crazy little things that go along with it as support systems. These are the ancillary devices of those types of nefarious machinations that the darkness gets you to do to yourself. The darkness will always give you everything you need in order for you to destroy yourself. You got to come correct with this stuff, man. I'm just telling you straight. I don't pussyfoot around with this stuff. I'm old school. I come from a place and a time in the 1970s we didn't have political correctness. Somebody told you to your face, like it or not. If the truth hurts, you're living a lie. And guess what? You are living a lie because of euphemistic conditioning and social engineering has brought you to a place where you will absolutely outwardly deny the truth because you're living in a vacuum of lies, presenting themselves as being the truth. You exist in an illusion presenting itself as your reality. So you cannot differentiate from reality or illusion because you've never been shown these things. Just like when you came to this world, they didn't tell you about your celestial and cosmic powers, my friend, for a reason. Because when you're aware of something, you can realize your potential and utilize it. And that is a freaking threat to them. If you have a world full of cosmic alchemists, oh, they don't want that, because then you don't need them. And that's what they fear the most. And that's what's coming soon, because this earth is changing and they can't stop the bleeding. Too bad. But anyway, I'm just trying to tell you, the universe is offering you great things. You just have to be willing to surrender the things that you're already holding on to. Let them go. People, perhaps a sole source of income or an old job or where you live in. And again, let me just stress that also the reason why the universe wants you to physically move to another geographical location on the planet, meaning you're actually going to take your butt and move somewhere else, another state or another country, is because your soul operates at a specific frequency, which there's only one of in the entire universe. Okay? Understand that. Number two, that frequency is not, let me say that word again, is not in alignment with where you are currently living, where you are physically residing and dwelling. It is out of alignment. The universe is trying to get you to move to a place somewhere else in the world that you are divinely aligned with your higher purpose. And there is where you're going to be in your river of rewards. You see? That's where you're going to be perfectly matched with where you should be. Because where you are right now, it's block, out of alignment. It's going to be impediments and complications and struggles, and perhaps even the people you're living with have a bad vibration. And they are secretly wishing your demise. It could be anything. But before I end the video, just realize that your fear is unwarranted. It's also instilled. I did a video on this. You have to differentiate between instinctive fear, which is the intuitive sense of your soul, which is the first sense of your soul, not the sixth sense of the mind. That's nonsense. And you have to be able to differentiate between instilled fear, meaning they put that garbage in your head. Be afraid. You're afraid to live. You're afraid to pass away. You're afraid to be yourself. You're afraid to be different. You're afraid to try something new. You're afraid to spend your money. You're afraid of this, that. Anytime the economy wavers, you're freaking out. You're losing your mind. But you can't lose something that you've never had because they've controlled it all along. You see how it's a puppet show. It's always the same paradigm. Fear, because fear works perfectly every time. Why? Because people are predictable and they never change. Fashion, industry, and technology changes, but people never change. You always stay the same, so therefore they can easily control you with a paradigm that is the same, just packaged differently, to make you look modern. That's exactly what they do, every time. And everybody falls for it. Oh, my vote counts, let's get out and vote. Suffrage. Look up the definition of the word suffrage. To vote and the right to vote. Right? Well, guess what, folks? Democracy is an illusion. Whether you want to believe it or not, all these public officials have been selected by this cult, not elected by the people. Never have been, never will be. Two wings of the same bird. Red, blue, don't make it true, because they are part of the corporate party. And guess what? You and I are not invited. Okay? That's the real story. So you go do what you got to do. If you think your vote counts, you go for it. I'm telling you, you're just fooling yourself. This is something that's real I'm speaking of. Source, almighty, consciousness, divine. Just because you can't see it, don't write it off as non-existent. That's why they get you to refer to your greatest power as imaginary. That's why you call it your imagination. Look up the definition of the word imagination, and you tell me what you see. Again, they say, even in their own system, they stumble over their own feet. They say, use your imagination. Well, how can I possibly utilize something that doesn't exist? You see how they don't pay attention to the details because they know that you can't think for yourself and you're not going to ask these types of questions? You have so many TikTok zombies unconsciously walking into communism. They don't realize what's going on now. They're oblivious to everything because they don't have the intellectual capacity to realize what was going on in the world. Right? They don't even know what the constitutional rights or the Declaration of Independence or the amendments. They probably haven't even read them because they haven't been trained to. All they do is to stare at a screen and the internet tells you what to do. That's why people think that if you're a physical man, you can be a woman, or you're a man and a woman at the same time, or men can have babies. I mean, come on, folks. Seriously now. You cannot be what you want to be. In your head, yeah. But in the physical density of this terrestrial environment, no. Again, I'll say, biologically, anatomically, physically, genetically, you are what you are. If you don't believe me, check your pelvic bone. That will tell you what gender you are. That is an anatomical and medical truth. It's a fact. You can't dance around it. But I digress. Don't have any fears. Don't foster them. Don't reinforce them. It's your fear that is blocking you from really enjoying this life the way God intended it to be enjoyed for you in your journey. Do you really want to just make your way through life and eke your way through life, just earning a living and all melancholy and, just average and common? Do you really want that? Think about it for a minute. It's because your failure and the faith that you don't have of the things you don't see causes this unwarranted fear to block everything. And you're obsessed over these things. And obsession is a tether that ties everything together. But even more so, it's an unconscious fear that you don't have faith in God. Because I'm like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I don't see it. I don't see it. Where is it? I'm still waiting. I'm panicking now. Where is it? I don't believe you. I don't trust you. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? That's exactly what's going on. That's exactly what's going on. So I'm going to cut the video and just have faith in source. Because when you believe in yourself, you believe in God. And I don't mean religion, God. That's garbage. Religion is evil. I'm talking source. The genesis of destiny, God. You are God, whether you realize it or not. Well, I'm letting you know you're God. So now it's time for you to use those unlimited powers of a cosmic nature for something good, not only in your life, but other people's lives. Fear it's a paradigm. It's a psychological element that they use in warfare against your mind. Look at in any war, psychological warfare. It's called psyops because it's based in fear and it works. They tell the other troops, oh, that's it. It's over. We're going to kill you. Your generals have left you. You've been abandoned, whatever. Look at the Vietnam conflict. They used to drop leaflets down on the soldiers. That's all propaganda. It's the same paradigm, folks. You got to wake up. They're running you like a fool and you're being played because you're allowing it. But you have the power to stop it at any time. God bless.